Welcome back to Buckle Up Garage. We are going to be doing part 2. I'm not sure how far this is going to go. I got to still figure out what is wrong with Aspen. It's my 07 Chrysler Aspen, 5.7 Hemi. If you tuned into the first part of this, you know I was coming home from work and it started to run like crap on the freeway. Like I was running out of fuel. I'd coast over to the emergency lane, kind of get out of traffic, and it would sit and idle. But as soon as you tried to accelerate, it would just kind of falling all over itself till it just quit. Kind of got out and took a look just to see if there's anything obvious that I could see that was going wrong. Obviously, no, there wasn't anything obvious. Sat there for about 4 or 5 minutes. Thought, okay, well, if I can at least limp this thing to the next off-ramp, try and get it towed home if I have to. Turn the key, fire it right back up. Blipped the throttle a couple of times, seemed fine. And, well, let's give it a shot. And made it about 10 miles, ran normal, and then it did the same thing. So I got to the next off-ramp, and slowly but surely I limped it home. It took like 4 or 5 tries of the same thing happening over and over again. Got it back to the house, and in the first episode of this, the codes that I got were lean codes and MDS issues with the multi-displacement system, misfires. It was all over the place. Decided I would, kind of go to the internet and see what anybody else might have come across. And I landed on, obviously, we got to go back to the basics. It's either going to be ignition or probably fuel in one of these cases. You're not going to lose compression all of a sudden. So the first thing I'm going to try here is going to check into the fuel pressure and see if my pump's going away. I've never had one not just fail and then just be done, but who knows? I mean, like I said, I went back to my first thought was, am I out of gas? I wasn't, because I had just stopped and squirted some in before I left work, but it felt everything like running out of fuel. So we're going to take a look at that first. The issue I had was I don't have a fuel pressure tester for something fuel injected, so I went to my favorite, Harbor Freight. I know a lot of you guys like that place too. As I've said before, I'm not making a living doing this, and I'm not going to be pulling this thing out of my arsenal of miscellaneous tools more than a few times probably. But we're going to check that first and see if maybe that's the issue. So let me get this set up, and we'll see what we find. All right, so let's revisit what exactly happens when I fire this thing up, because it's been a few weeks. We've got a combination of some really, really cold weather and family stuff I've had to take care of that's kind of burned up my weekends. But I want to get this thing back up and running and going, because as big of a beater this thing is, I like this truck a lot. It's a lot more comfortable in driving the Focus every day, even though that thing gets fantastic gas mileage. So we're going to fire this up and you can see what this thing does. And starts to drop. It kind of catches itself and it stalls out. So just for the fun of it, let me get my code scanner. Again, another Harbor Freight thing that's just it's a code reader, code clearer. You're not going to probably diagnose a whole lot, but at least it'll get you in the ballpark what's going on. So let me get that hooked up real quick and we'll see what codes it's throwing today, because it has jumped around a little bit. So hang tight. All right, so I kind of cheated and I looked to see what's going on, but I'll show you guys. Go to the first one. We got a P0171, a P0174, and a P0562. The 71 and the 74 are lean codes, misfire codes, indicating I'm thinking fuel. 562 I looked up real quick, and that is showing a low voltage situation. I guess I'm not too surprised by that. This thing's been sitting for about 3 weeks, and it's been really cold. And, while it kind of fires right up, it hasn't been running enough to charge the battery, so I'm guessing that's probably all that is. I'm not too worried about it. So I am going to go with my gut here, and I'm going to check fuel pressure and see if I've just got some kind of weird thing going on. Obviously, the pump works because the car does fire up. I'm thinking it could be a fuel pressure regulator issue if it points that way. This particular vehicle, the regulator is part of the pump assembly in the tank, so one way or the other, that would be the route. So I'm going to get set up here with the fuel pressure tester that I picked up from Harbor Freight. Let me show you that in just a second. Let me get this thing unplugged. Get back outside here. All right. All right, so this is what I picked up. It is a Maddox Basic Fuel Injection Service Kit. I think that's probably all a guy like me is going to need. You can see it's got multiple adapters and essentially just a fuel pressure gauge, some valve cores, clamps, silly stuff like that. So the port on this is actually right underneath the air intake. I don't think you can even see it, but there's the fuel rail. And if you just go back a little bit, it's back in there. So I'm going to quick set this up and show you, how we get this out of here and gain access to it. All right, this is going to be pretty straightforward. We just got to pull the air intake out to get access to this. At some point I have to move the camera because this piece right here is all part of it, but that's what I got the camera set up on. So I'll give this a shot. Loosen up the clamps. Again, this is all pretty straightforward stuff. I'm sure everybody that is watching this has maybe done this from time to time. Let me get the PCV hose out of the way. And this is the part where I got to move the camera. And so the PCV hose port's right in here, comes across and over to the oil fill. Let me see if I can put this someplace where you guys can see what's going on. And hopefully not drop the camera. That'll do. That came off pretty easy. On it right here. Snaps into place. Huh. Yeah, they usually fight you a little bit more than that. Alright, so let's come around here. And right there is a little screw-on cap. Don't want to lose this. As you can see, right here. Let me try and get my big fat gorilla hands in here. That's your fuel pressure port. So I am going to really suggest that you grab a screwdriver and just make sure. I doubt there's any pressure in this because I've been having issues, but I'm just going to a little poke and make sure I take any pressure out of the system. I'll try and do this. And I'm going to try it with the Phillips. But I don't have a Phillips. I guess we're doing it with this. Well, I'm guessing that I'm on the right path here because there is nothing coming out of this thing. Just cannot get a solid push on it. Yeah, there's nothing coming out of this. I think we have figured out the issue. All right, let me get this set back up. And I am going to get the fuel pressure gauge out. I'll pause you guys for a second. All right. So this is threaded. I'm going to thread right onto that port. It's a little stiff because it's cold. This particular application, I don't need any adapters, but I would suggest making sure it's really secure on there, because if this thing does pressurize like it should, it puts out about 60 psi. I think 58 is what's recommended. So next, I'm going to take the gauge and I'm going to put that up on the windshield where I can see it while I'm cranking it over to see what the fuel pressure does. So that's next. All right, we're back in the car. I'm going to fire this up. I'm going to see what kind of pressure it puts out. Like I said, if I've looked online and gotten the right stats or specifications, this thing should put out like 58 pounds. Let's see what she does. And get you guys a shot on the gauge. Let's see what happens here. Of course, this time it doesn't fire. But as I'm cranking, I'm only seeing 8 or 10 pounds of pressure. I don't know if you guys can see that. It comes up a little bit, but nowhere near what it's supposed to be. So I think we got a pump pressure issue, or the regulator's bad. So next step is going to be seeing if I can catch it while it fires up, because I think it'll kind of heal itself like it does from time to time. We'll come back out in a little bit and see if that does do it, so I can see what it's doing when it's running. So we'll give that a shot if I can catch it doing it in the act. All right, so this really isn't the end that I was hoping for in this this segment of Everything's Neater when you're driving a beater. Came out a couple of times, hoping to catch Aspen actually firing up and doing that kind of stumble and die thing with the fuel pressure gauge on it to see what was going on. Tried it for a couple of days and it didn't, it just wouldn't fire up. Came out one last time, didn't have my camera with me, and sure shit, it did it. It built about 10 pounds of pressure, fired up, and did that whole stumble and stall out thing. And as soon as it stalled out, the fuel pressure dropped. So I'm convinced the fuel pressure regulator has gone bad, and because the pump does build some pressure and it does run, but it just isn't creating the pressure that it should. So I am going to call the fuel pump assembly bad. The next issue I've got is, and again, turn the camera around here. Oh, hey, look at it. Timing is everything. This happened. We have not had much snow or any snow here in southeastern Wisconsin this year until today. It's currently February 12th. And I mean, this isn't huge snow, but it's enough to make me put this whole thing on hold, because Aspen doesn't fit in the garage. It's too tall. So the fuel pump is going to have to be done while I'm in the driveway. So, and it's supposed to stay cold. So this snow's not going anywhere. I wish it wasn't the situation, because this is the weather that this vehicle is around for. Actually driving home tonight in this There were some spots where it got so icy, I almost felt like something broke in the car because it was just kind of squirming and swirling around. I was down to about 45 miles an hour on the freeway. People were still passing me. And I'm like, well, why do I feel like I'm the only one having trouble? Did I break something, the control arm or something like that? And I blipped the throttle a couple of times at 45 on the freeway, and it broke traction, so it was pure ice. So the Aspen repair is going to be put on hold for now, but yeah, I'm convinced it's the fuel pump. So stay tuned. Apparently there's going to be a part 3 to this, but it might be a while before I get to it. Later. All right, this is where I call myself an idiot. Newish YouTuber, but I should know better. I forgot to ask you to hit the subscribe button, ding the bell, like the content if you like the content. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors. It all helps me out, and I appreciate the support. And until the next episode, thanks for tuning in to Buckle Up Garage. Later.